I was there at lunch and I rolled him into that front section so we could talk in by the front door.
Yeah.
Rolled him into that by the front door so we could talk. And then the the older lady that takes care of him a lot of times, she came to us and said, I've got his lunch. You want me to bring it out here or? I said, where do you want it? And he said, well, I'll just eat it in my room. So I started to push him to his room and then he started telling the lady and everybody else he could see,
All right,
I
gentlemen.
think he's trying to hide me
It's,
somewhere.
4:32 on January 16th of 25. We call the meeting to order of the Calvert City Board of Public Utilities. First order of business, as normal, is approval of the minutes of the December 19th, 2024 regular meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, Michael makes a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Bill, second. Any additions, deletions, changes you noted? If none, all in favor, say aye. Okay. All right, financial statements, you have those in front of you. The water and sewer budget tracking, revenue is still holding. It's a good thing. We had a budget that we planned for. Expenses are still running less than what we budgeted. Which repairs and maintenance for the system, we know about those. We've already talked about those in previous meetings. The only other item that I know that's, we've spent more than budgeted so far on, through this period of time. And the sewer budget tracking. It too is, doing well financially, revenue standpoint. Operating revenue is 325 versus budgeted year to date 375. So the revenue is holding. As far as the expenses are concerned, again, we have professional and technical services, it's greater than budget there. And the repairs and maintenance that's called up. Where we were. Yes, they look like they've caught up. Total expenditures is at 484 against the budget of 555. We are financially, we're holding strong there as well. In the trial balance report, you've got the cash up in the corner there at 1,565. A year ago, it was 1,361 at the end of December. Cash balance is holding, as well. But now, from that standpoint, we're doing well. All right, then project status report update. Long Valley Road is now considered. Everything's ready to go. Easements are in place. Contracts been let. We're going to start construction as soon as possible on that. Had a meeting with Chad this week, along with the mayor and Bobby. Chad reported that we've got about 200,000 remaining in that grant after we get Long Valley Road in place. So we need to talk about where we can face that. We talked about even earlier, one thing back in the past, and some of the other areas. Bobby, you all mentioned another way, another place we could go, maybe.
No, I was just mentioning that it could look for, because it comes up anyway. And we go so far, and that's Ian Burley comes to tease in. But they were talking about coming from 95. And I see he probably could eventually circle around. But that's all I was saying.
Yeah, I know where Ian Marley is.
Mhm.
I forgot.
Something 95.
If you go down the hill,
And drive in,
Mhm.
first road.
you go down the hill from the stoplight on and toward
95, go,
That's
go
the
south,
very first, down in the very first right.
the very first
At
right.
Ian Hurley, and he goes up to Deedmore Road. It's not
Is it
very
where
far.
the cut singers up that way?
No,
No,
Cyber
Cyber.
out there.
Yes, that's what. See, okay, so we're talking about doing what there? What
And
possibility?
extending the main out that way.
Okay,
That's a possibility is what he's getting at with this extra.
and are we outside of city limits there and inside?
City limit, no, that is. Well, no, Ian Hurley's not, but.
Ian Hurley is not. That may not be. I don't know. I mean, we're open up for discussion.
Mhm.
If we were going to use $200,000 to extend the water service in the area where it's not already.
And that's what the money's gotta be used for, because that's what the grant for.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's a suggestion.
I mean,
Customers are out that way.
Well, that's
Potential.
it. Yeah, I mean, it's got some pretty large tracks. We haven't gotten that far. I don't think they estimate the number of
Mhm.
people on wells right there.
Yeah, they're all on
But
wells.
There
right
may be some other areas out there that you guys may want to suggest or whatever, but
Okay.
we've still got some funds that's meant to extend services.
Well, do we have services in the city limits everywhere? Everything has water mains? Okay.
I don't know it, dude.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
One thing I don't know, just throw out there is I saw in the Lone Valley project, I'm assuming we're just looping Lone Valley, right? We're not going up toward Dale Pollock's house back in there.
No, it's coming all the way around Long Valley, all the way down there to Paris Road or down. Yeah, well, it's just the big one.
So, there's
Down by where
Yeah.
across from Dairy Queen?
Yeah.
there's several houses back that Little Rock Lane is the road I was trying to think of that, I don't know if that would be, I guess that would be a T in that line that we're looping, but I don't know, just throwing that out there. There's as many houses back there probably as there are on the Lone Valley Loop.
Right.
Yeah. That's Paris Road, I think, on the backside of it, ain't it?
Like, I think Paris Road is the one that comes in across from, I think that's what they call,
Into Long Valley, I thought.
well, it's Little Rock Lane.
Well, Little Rock's in the middle.
Yeah.
But if you're on the.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah, that other,
If you're
yeah,
up by Jerry's Pools.
yeah,
When you go up there where the road turns
yeah, if
left.
you went
I
straight,
think Paris Road.
Yeah.
Whatever goes straight.
right. So that's another option, that area and the Little Rock Lane, they're both, I didn't, just since we're already working in that area. I don't know.
That's a good idea. We can look at.
Mhm.
And the same thing, it becomes an evaluation of what can you do with that kind of money and how many potential customers do you have and what's our current services?
And the more houses you got, then you put a hydrant out there so you extend your fire protection. I think some of the cybers on most of that property down at E.M. Hurley Road, which was the guy that no longer is alive. But, I don't know how receptive they would be. They farm, they use a lot of water, but if they've got a working well, they're probably gonna want to pay for it. They're gonna want to use the well. Spraying in the crop. I think it's a good idea to look at that other option.
Anybody else got one they want to throw out? So this is, I guess we just learned in a meeting that we had this money, right, still this week, so it's pretty early on.
Thought maybe we might have some money left over, but we never did know how much.
Yeah.
We got the bids, and then Chad told us 200,000.
Yeah.
But it's very specifically for what y'all are talking about. We've got to extend somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the grant,
It's a good problem. Like it.
was to get water to people who don't have. And even going down even further, they don't. Want to tap into it
Mhm.
someday, somewhere, but maybe.
Mhm. Two of those houses are quite a distance off the road. That's the old JD, what was his name? Dunn. On the corner property over there where it hits Needmore. And I think one of the Cybert boys bought that old farm. So they got a lot of land right through there, but they the Dunn property's right next to the road, but some of the other houses are back off the road, you know, quarter mile or so.
We have a main on 95, correct? How far does it run?
Drive
Goes
in.
down there to drive in.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, I heard a rumor of somebody making development over there behind the lakes. Somewhere that
Properties on fire.
price and. Yeah. So there's water over there.
Behind River Drive.
Mhm.
No, we don't have it. I mean, that house has got service good, it's a long service.
Must be all farm or something.
Hit those little buttons, change it to satellite view to show you there.
So I don't know about that. I mean, that's another very good point. We haven't really talked to,
I can see what they are a little bit.
well, I don't know how far back in the city. If that's, is Carrie's house in the city? No. So we went here. I mean, we could possibly see really any new development anywhere.
That road leaves the county, that Laurel or whatever.
Yeah.
Give it some time.
I know Jeffrey's. I'll be there for a minute, but the land back there, because he asked about saving back there.
The old Smith property back there.
Yeah, whatever, he bought two big plots of land.
Yeah,
That's what-
yeah.
I have no idea what sort of development that we can ask. And see. We're a potential customer there.
We need to do a little research on that. See.
But yeah. I had a little rock.
Put out a feeler and just see how many people will be interested in it.
Well, I know on that road, I know he's,
Who?
yeah, but it's a no.
Okay. So you're talking about where we're coming by on the old Long Valley Road
So
going back?
this is what we just talked about, going by the church.
Okay. Oh, yeah, okay.
Down to the concrete plant.
Okay, let's get over here now. You're making the words, right?
Influent lift station, it's progressing. Well. I'm set to on that volume.
We are waiting on, they're installing, I believe, the grates for the scrapers and all that. They weren't over there today, but I guess they're supposed to be there. Maybe tomorrow or ready some next week, but, I mean, it's coming along fairly well. It ain't connected to the influent yet, but the line's right over there. It hasn't tapped into that. And the structure itself is pretty much almost done except for the top section. the building.
I think it's scheduled to be completed
March sometime, I think.
sometime in March, I believe, yeah,
That's what, yeah.
be in service. A lot of, training gonna have to be done. People how to operate it, what to do with it, how to work. Still got some work to do there, but it is now progressing.
What kind of mechanics are involved? I mean, just opening, closing and what
Yeah,
else?
and like dewatering and, removal of debris and,
Okay.
pump maintenance and
Yes.
which ones to do, just stuff like that.
Okay.
Basically the kind of stuff we do now, but it'd be just in a different
Yeah.
area, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, has anything been done relative to the rehab of the sewers? Sewers smoking, and so forth, getting any information out to,
No, I think the last thing we were supposed to, have like a mailing list or something to make it out, but I haven't really touched base on that stuff either. I know a lot of the stuff had to do with, missing clean out lids and stuff like that, and a lot of those have been addressed. But other stuff towards the houses and stuff, nothing's been said about. And talking to people about how they need to, fix their side or whatever.
right,
But none of that's been addressed yet.
well, we're gonna get we talked about, I think, maybe at some point, I've talked to somebody about maybe a mailing list to the customer and explain the problem. Any ideas on how to make that happen?
Sorry, I was driving Marvin Wilson, knowing that issue, because you mentioned the set easements. Ask me that again.
How can you get a letter or memo out to the people who need to get their sewers
In compliance.
in compliance with smoke testing that
Yeah.
we did and so forth? And that's a part of, I think it's part of the agreed order that we at least make some effort in getting that done.
Is it something that is doable on the bills or not? Is it not? Is it not that broad?
This is one that Tim had. And I quite frankly haven't seen the list. Have you got the list?
I printed one off and I got one.
Okay.
Are you talking about 100 people or are you talking about?
How many?
Yeah.
How many?
There was like, well, there's probably 4 or 5 pages, and they have probably, let's say 50 on each page or
Oh, wow.
something like that. So it's quite, but like I say, a bunch of them have to do with missing clean out lids, stuff like that, or busted off. And we've got quite a few of those that we've just taken care of. But
MC used to tell us, yeah, he just carries some with him.
yeah,
If it was
and if
just
the
off.
thing one, yeah, we took care of it.
Right.
So it's not a uniform, everybody's not in the same situation.
No, there's a lot of different things.
So it's just man hour specific.
And a lot of stuff, I don't know if we can really touch. A lot of things.
We've, through smoke testing, identified substandard items that could create infiltration in the system. Needs to be corrected. Kim drove it to the point of, we were gonna try to talk to, Bruce a little bit about getting a letter together. And then, seeing if, Tim was concerned that if we got some pushback, where were we on our ability to say, hey, it's gotta be fixed legally? This outflow needs to be repaired. What happens if we get pushback on that? So we've been at that point of not knowing which way to proceed for several months.
What does that result indicate? Does that cause a violation in discharge? Or does that cause a violation of the POTW?
As Dan just said, our big overall agreed order is, and it's a death by 1,000 cuts. So the big honking, identify huge, stormwater infiltration. I always have a hard time with that word. Into the system, and we found a few, and I think we've actually found some of modest size, but really not the big, huge one. And you go through and we've got, you just described, sound like 200 different line items that we have, some percentage of which lie on private property. You know, the city cannot go make it repairs and improvements to private property, or can we? And what do we have to do in terms of ordinances or whatever to force that? So we want to, we want to go out and make customers aware of it and ask cooperation, and we'll give advice and support however we can. And then Tim was like, okay, what do you do with those ones that don't respond favorably, or even push back and say, hey, none of your business, because our regulations aren't set up by statute or whatever, what would happen if they don't correct deficiencies in their sewer outfall from their house to our system, which we are under agreed order to make sure we cut down. So that's the legal quandary.
Okay,
I think, I don't know, so some percentage are on private property. Some percentage of those are gonna be all about helping you. And then some percentage may have to come into a situation where we don't have any statute or any regulation that would say, hey, this is what it is. So the fear is that once you make notice and you get pushback, and then you're creating something to deal with it, you're getting the cart before the horse, and you're less defensible. So we're kind of in this stagnation. Is that a proper? Okay,
So,
that's my understanding of it. For what that's.
an example, Greg, would be all your downspouts on your house are tied into the sewer.
yeah, that would be kind of the most egregious.
The pump in the
Thank you.
basement, the pump their basement in,
Correct.
is tied into the sewer.
Both of which have been found
Okay. Well, okay, step one.
in past. I
Chapter-
don't know if any of that's on this particular list. but
Chapter
those have been
50
found.
of our,
Yeah.
chapter 50 of the ordinances is our POTW regulation. And that regulates what you can and cannot discharge. I haven't read it in the past 30 minutes, so I can't tell you for sure what's in it. But I think it addresses stormwater infiltration. I may be wrong, but that's job one, is to look at chapter 50 and see what is the prohibition against discharging stormwater into the sewer system. And if it is in fact prohibited to if what's happening is we're getting prohibited discharges, then the threat's very simple. We cut off your access to the sewer if you're making prohibited discharges. We've done it before. It's a very difficult thing to do, and it amounts to sticking
Yeah.
beach balls in the sewer line. And I remember having done it for Holiday Inn, what used to be Holiday Inn out there. We have stopped theirs. It's been a few years back, but I'm sure we've done it other times also, but that's the one that I recall because it was relatively large, and we plugged it because you got no other choice. Ultimately, that's your enforcement vehicle, is you can't discharge
Yeah,
prohibited.
That's what Tim was arguing. He said he didn't know if he could do that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. The prohibited discharges, you cannot.
You don't want to, but,
No.
and you're not gonna just do it.
Yeah,
We're gonna follow,
Right.
the procedure, and is it outlined in this, as you recall? Chapter 50, well, what we do, we warn them,
Oh, no, there was not gonna be that kind of a procedure. It's like, it's illegal to shoot somebody.
oh,
Well, it's
illegal. to-
Just gonna outline what
if
you
you,
can
if you go out and if you ever get all excited and decide you're gonna go out and turn your water off out in front of your house.
Yeah.
That's tampering, with public, tampering with the public, I forgot the words, but it is a crime. It is criminal mischief, and you will be arrested.
Well, if nothing else, yeah, you definitely need to get this before us.
Yeah.
And, and if it's that clear, then
Yeah.
we'll be able to proceed here pretty
Well,
quickly.
it's exactly the same
Communicate
thing
with people.
that prevents the plants from being able to hook their industrial discharges to their potable water discharges and discharge into our sewer system. It's exactly the same situation. how, and I'm saying, I hope it's exactly the same situation, because I hope that it is that a discharge of stormwater into the city sewer is a prohibited discharge. But I'm gonna have to take another look at it and make sure that that's the case, and if not, I'll just keep looking until I either find something or determine that there's not.
was reading some of that today, 'cause I was trying to research this. And I can't remember reading about stormwater, I kept getting interrupted.
Yeah.
But it does talk all about that in chapter 50.
Right.
I was reading all that.
Right.
Did you read the first 49 chapters first?
Well, this, Bobby, you got a to-do task. You're gonna have to get with chapter 50 and get with this guy.
I'll make
Get with
myself a
chapter
note to
50
take a look
first,
at.
read it yourself, and then see what you
I got
got.
one on my desk.
Okay.
You know, if there's a case where it's getting in a discharge line out in a yard, if water can get in it, then sewage can get out.
Well.
So then that
it was
becomes a
updated
health
fairly
issue,
recently-
right?
Fairly recently, when Roger.
Theoretically.
Theoretically,
did a
if it had,
complete
you know, you
rehaul,
back that up and it discharges,
updating all of the,
you know,
all of the
outside that
parameters
line.
that are.
So
that
we
were
may
allowed
have,
to
you know,
discharge.
a couple of
But it's.
backup arguments depending on where it's at. So if your line from their house to our main is got a leak in it,
Okay.
and if water goes in, sewage can come out.
Well. I don't know if we've got a great statesman here, but you know, you'd think a reasonable person, you could have a reasonable conversation and be
Mhm.
obvious to all. And so it's almost like, you know, we just want to make sure where we're at before you put up notice, because if something happened and one of those came to a push and shove type issue, you want to make sure where you're at before you go down that road.
You don't want to start making threats until you know. what you're-
Yeah. And if our chapter 50 doesn't adequately take care of it, and then you change it after you've made notice, it seems like it would complicate the matters, and that's where Tim was. He wanted to understand, and he told me that we couldn't cut off.
That's what I was thinking. That's what he told me.
That's what he told me. That's his training, that you could not cut off the wastewater. But they're not in compliance, and that gets a push and shove, and so then you'd have your requirements. We just need to investigate it. So let Bobby review chapter 50, and then you two can see if we can take this logjam out, because I'm sure the largest number of these are going. I was gonna say flow with no pun intended, but I guess a pun would be intended. It would flow quite well.
Can you work on that list?
Yeah, I handed that over to Glenn, so I'll have.
Or have Glenn work on it, or whoever, I mean, not necessarily you personally.
Yeah, well, I'll have to get it to me on this stuff.
Redo the list. Come back to the halo repair in there, but the LWD cutoff road, we're still waiting on the samples to see what condition of the pipes are, and the piping, is busted and leaked, and I still wanting to know what created that, and then know what direction to take after that, relative to environmental impact or whatever, as far as that road is, or that piping along that road, so it's really want. I can make the hookup, we make a loop around there, and we may need to reroute it or whatever, so. Just put it there, and I want, the Oak Park water main, probably we need to, look at that and see where we are. That's
Yeah, I'm doing that one, so,
coming down 62 and check up those folks,
yeah, that's the last thing I heard of it.
get that out of the main reason for that is the water line goes on with
That bill,
for driveway.
yeah.
And we have it in the budget for this year through July, so. We may not get it done, but we need to figure it done. All right,
Did you do D? Did you mention something about D? Halo repair?
no, I said that we get back. to that.
I missed you. Sorry. Continue on.
That's the one that what we did on that one, if you recall, is the halo, cost to do halo repair. Which.
Yeah.
Once we had it bid,
I'm looking at the minutes from last meeting, bid opening on December 12th.
and we redid it.
Yeah.
To do a full liner,
Right.
and, that has been accepted. That bid has been
Okay.
accepted to do that work. Now, the thing that we've got to look at, Bobby's got to look at, is to de-water two lagoons. And then the sludge in the bottom of it. Need to be treated with lime. And then removed with the truck.
Projects.
We have not yet, that was not a part of the original bid that we did to put the lime, so that's going to be additional cost. Above. Bobby did some work on, estimated.
Yeah, I got both lagoons together, we got roughly about maybe 11, this is like overestimating, about 10 or 15%. We roughly got about 11,000 cubic yards of sludge in the two lagoons. Mainly is the most is in the second lagoon, which is the one that's, it's like after the primary, so it's gonna have more than the other. We're looking at about 11,000 right now. Like I say, that's a bigger, it might be hoping less than that. I added about 10-15%.
Did we keep equipment that can help us do this? Get rid of the sludge?
No,
No, we'll have to,
we have to get. Like the career or somebody, last time that we did it several years ago. Maybe in 13. I think, Rear came in and you can inject it with lime,
dry it up.
which dries it up. And then you have to haul it to the disposal area.
I mean, how do you get it out of there?
You got to get it long reach.
Got it.
Excavator.
That will be a bill. But we talked about this. We're not gonna wait to do it the way we did before and wait 60 years before we did anything.
Now, once on those two lagoons, based on what Chad said, this would be a 15 to 20 year repair on those two lagoons. And then the other lagoon has been reworked and, so we would, sure, would definitely be in good shape. But it's gonna cost several $1,000 to do that. We're gonna have to get some estimates.
And I remember correctly that to put the liner in versus the halo was actually gonna be about $100,000 less. So we've got that, I mean, we're gonna have some labor issues and stuff like that involved in it.
Right, I mean, it's still the right decision.
Yeah,
We've got, it's a project,
yeah,
so we gotta figure out when we're shooting for it. And do some prep
Yeah.
on, see what the disposal costs are gonna be, make sure we plan for it, and then Bobby's got to free up his labor to meet the agreed to date, so, signing the contract, now we're at the implementation stage, so.
Got it.
Still the right move, nobody's questioning that, just kind of reporting back that.
Right.
How it's gonna be achieved, and we talked about it some, about option A versus option B,
Right.
saying apples, oranges. Removal of sludge is gonna have to be there.
Mhm.
So that's the measurement we have, and
Mhm.
Bobby's chasing down prior charges, just to make sure that we're prepared for it to move along.
Yeah.
Nobody's second guessing the decision.
No, I think it's the best move.
Right.
It's the observation that, hey, we knew it when we said it, there was a little more complexion there, and so Bobby just getting his ducks in a row.
Would we be bagging it still or just?
No.
I hope
We'll
not.
stay away from that.
So this is drain it and enter the old liner and push it up and load it into trucks and then dispose of it at the landfill versus having bags laying around on our property.
Right.
We were discussing that at the last meeting about dredging it, dewatering it,
Right.
and bagging it. So this is a different option?
Yes, yes.
I mean, I understand the
Different option at
option.
the same end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just didn't know that this was another option.
Yeah, what the bags do for you, not is you probably know already. You put it in there wet and then they drain.
They do their own dewatering.
It
shrinks.
And then you have to then cut the bags, load it, hot it, and dispose.
And this is just a better option than if we just to take it out by truckload.
Yeah, the lime injection.
We'll dry it out.
rather than-
Okay, for somebody that doesn't know, is this more of a summer project? Or do you do it?
Well, I mean, just, I mean, you probably can do it anytime, but it's gonna be
Good drive.
closer to summer, yeah. I'd rather do it dry summer.
I
Mm.
didn't know, you know, because you're talking about drying and all of that.
Yeah,
so-
no, you want to drive it. Do better.
Process.
I think Chad talked about the liner people looking at July.
That was, yeah, because I think it's all, the nursery, hey, somewhere around July.
I don't think so. We don't need to. I think I don't have Michael Ford's email address on this machine.
It's in was. Would you put that in?
And it's more eight.
I didn't really address
There we
that.
are. I got you.
When I do it, it has you call.
What's the life of those liners?
Like he was saying, I mean.
I mean, no, I'm talking about we've got this, the bag thing, we put the sludge
Oh,
in the
man,
floor.
I don't know what that is, but it seems like a long time.
So it's got yet a long more life, what we've got bagged up out there. Or is this a good time to get rid of it?
I mean, it's, whenever we can will be good, but I'm pretty sure it's got a long life. I was looking at the cut.
Yeah.
Okay. We down to that point?
We're down to Duke Energy TVA contract.
Okay. So I'm actually forwarding the board a copy of the current supply agreement. For your edification and just so what we're looking at. And there are some things that the water, that the utility department needs to, that we're interested in achieving. I sent that out. And I wanted to know if anybody else had any other things. And bear in mind, we haven't even talked to the customer yet. So just kind of wanted, and there's nothing here that's really executive session worthy other than we just, in order of keeping good business practices, and we haven't really approached them yet. So this is an agreement between us and Duke Energy. And my understanding, the background was pretty limited. It was very mutually beneficial at the time. The city had received a lot of infrastructure that Duke funded. And the original thoughts were we were looking at 1,000 gallons a minute, 24/7, 365. And we've never really operated in that manner. And that's the largest water demand that I'm aware of was associated with burning fuel oil, which I don't even know the current operation of that facility has fuel oil in their thing. So it's just a matter of sitting down and seeing, what the reality is, brushing this agreement up and making sure it's there. So that's just kind of what I gathered, and I wanted to put that out to everybody from, a lot of it came from Tim, most of it did come from Tim. And it's just challenges that we have with this agreement and the things that we just need to get. I think TVA is going to be a great partner, and we're going to get to mutually beneficial terms pretty quick. So that's just where we're at on that. I do have a name of the facility manager now. We're going to make that phone call here in the next few weeks, kick this thing off. That's the only sensitivity to the matter is that, we haven't really contacted them and don't have all the parties that we're going to talk to yet. So it's just another customer agreement that's kind of, after years of, I don't know what the original date on this thing is.
It is
2001, a lot of things have changed in 23 years.
March 30, 2000.
We're still operating under that same.
Yeah, and the original deal was, there was a lot of infrastructure built and a lot of infrastructure funded by a pretty important, project. And the city has been beneficially using some of the wells that were paid for and that thing, and it's just been a pretty good deal, but the terms of the agreement just need to be renewed and make sure it's all good. That's what it boils down to. And I'm just trying to get into understanding what we're trying to achieve and what we need to achieve. So that's it.
Are you gonna be the, I don't mean the lead negotiator, but you're gonna be the one, well, you and Bobby together, I assume, are gonna be the ones coming up with the parameters of what,
Yeah, so
of what we, what's important to us and what's not?
This is the situation of weirdness that we're going down a path with no water manager.
Right.
So this is who does what, so city manager John could be possibly brought into this or at some point city manager functionality there. So clearly superintendent's in there. And so in this case, with nobody at that spot, that leaves the mayor to help do that. Now, this is, we don't have to reinvent the wheel on a supplier agreement for water. So we just need to see what's out there. And bear in mind, this was, what's the proper legal term for moving this over to the people who bought the original?
It's assigned.
It's a signed contract. And so we may be pretty far off and to see what they need. So there's a 2-inch water meter that does their potable water, and then this is supplied through the 6-inch meter. Right.
Right.
And so there's a lot of, that's a big line out there, out into an area where there can be some future development. How can you use a line in the future? How is it excluded? What are the needs? Operation for, well, the bottom line is that the contract had envisioned that you were using large amounts of water. And that large water bill helped recoup the operational cost. So they funded the capital, Duke funded the capital, and that's great. And I think it was mutually beneficial, but it really never materialized that the usage is going to be that great. So the operational cost for all the various components of it get very hard to recoup when there's no water bill on that meter. So, I'd hope
So
to.
they paid up front, but we're taking care of maintenance
Yeah.
for very.
Maintenance and
little use.
operation. So.
Does
So-
anybody sitting around the table right now know what it looks like out there? How often do they actually buy water from us? And in what,
Well, we have it in records. I just haven't pulled it up. So there's billing for a 6-inch meter. I mean,
do
we
you have an
know-
idea? I mean, do they buy every month, every week, every year?
For us just opening and supplying them,
Uh-huh.
I'd say maybe once a month they get water.
So they do probably every month buy a gallon or two.
Yeah.
Well, more than that, but
I-
nowhere
I-
near.
But I'm
Yeah.
being facetious.
With that, I mean, yeah, it's probably once a month, if not, maybe even longer sometimes.
Okay.
But they don't do, to my knowledge, they don't do 2 or 3 weeks.
No, I know, they'll pull for about 3 or 4 hours.
So it's the original system's capability has not been asked for, except in a trial basis, as far as I know, ever.
But there haven't been-
I have been told, Greg, and I don't know if any proof of it or not, is that they will run a test burn on those diesel furnaces. And then that's when they use a certain amount of water.
Yeah, I guess the filter tanks.
And you think they do that once a month?
But I have no proof of that, so.
So we've got, I mean, it's a wide open slate. We just have to start the
Well,
conversation.
I'm just wondering, have there been do you think there have been very many times in the past 25 years that that we've gone 30 days that they've gone 30 days without requiring any water?
No, we can find that out.
Waiting for now usage.
We may not be able to go back to 23 years worth, but we can get whatever's in.
Yeah, I just kind of want to feel,
We'll get that. That's
For
part of
it.
the process.
and I'm not looking for, a hammer to fight with.
No.
We're not looking to fight anything.
Investigate the reality.
But I do kind of want to know, so this agreement was not drawn for the circumstances that we find ourselves in today. And I would like to be able to say to whoever is negotiating this thing for TVA, this agreement has basically been, is in default on both sides. We haven't supplied it and they have, and And TVA has not requested it.
Right.
And for that failure, the agreement itself is in default on both parts. Not as a threat, just as a recognition. That's where we are.
Yeah, I think that's great. I just haven't asked Linda to get it yet. She can do the history for whatever's in it. That'd be plenty. Don't want to, do a lot of extraneous work, but.
Well, there just is one little provision in here that says if the city fails to supply for 30 days, that's a sufficient default for, at that time, Duke
For them to get out
to
of
to
contract.
declare a default. Yeah, declare a default and terminate the contract.
I'm 99% sure that the city has provided any kind of we have been asked.
Well, I understand. I'm just saying there is some significance attached to a 30-day cessation.
Well, this is just getting a meeting with the relevant,
Yeah.
suppliers and,
Yeah.
excuse me, purchasing agents and have a, initial conversation, and I'm sure that we'll schedule a meeting and find a mutually beneficial way to handle this thing. And, this is more our journey, even though we're a small town water department. This is our journey of being a reliable supplier to some huge industrial concerns, and that's what sets us apart from a lot of other people. And so we want to excel at this.
Okay.
I think we would need to excel at this.
It was originally 2 wells that was designated as 2 wells. But I think one of those.
Well, we'll get into all that. Yeah. So we've got Tim who's got a pretty good memory of that, and it's, it's quite a thing. I'm not really looking for any huge issue there. And I did ask, why did this come up now? Well, we had that water main leak out near Rail Services down, I always forget the name of that road. And so, that's about a $10,000 repair to dive in there and fix that bad boy. So that's a maintenance cost. And that, with Tim, trying to take care of everything, he's worked so hard for it on the way out the door. He said, oh, by the way, don't forget this one. That's how this got on our radar screen. And we found workarounds to bring this as low a operation costs as we can. And yet you got proof, meter replacement periodically. That's a 6-inch meter. That's about 8,000. And so that's quite a bit of cost over the years if it's something that's both parties don't need. It's just time to have a review. This is no big deal. This probably ought to be done every 3 years with every customer we got.
Do I assume correctly, Linda, that we've not made an adjustment on the rates ever?
It's spelled out in there.
No.
Do that.
Know how we can. Are they have there ever been any adjustments to the rates?
Um,
When you're selling 6 gallons, I don't know if it makes any difference. That's why I imagine it's been overlooked, is because it just didn't matter. There was so small an amount of water being
I think it's-
transferred.
It's spelled out as for the first, and I have a spreadsheet, like the first 10 years, you could do something.
Is that what was billed?
I have it.
So
And
is
yes,
it-
we should, I think we've followed it, but I think I looked the other day and it's still at the $1.80. I
Oh.
think, in the system. I'll have to. look.
Well, it was supposed to, yeah, it was supposed to go to 2011, get a big adjustment then, and then be adjusted every year after that.
Right, but it can only be adjusted so much.
The lesser of 3% or the change in the
Or the, yeah,
consumer price
or the
index.
CPI, yeah, so.
But you don't know that it ever has been, or you think it has been.
I'll look.
Okay.
How about that?
Yeah.
I have a spreadsheet, we'll see.
It's more curiosity than it is anything else, but I'm suspecting that never happened.
In 2000, Duke Energy's business plan for that facilities was much different than what TVA currently finds himself in. And we're just gonna sit down with open ears and figure out what's needed and make sure they get it, and that we get it, and everything's where it needs to be. I don't say it's a big deal. It's just one of these things that it came up, and it's just proper care and feeding that was neglected. So that's fine.
Okay, we know where we're headed there, so. And procedures and policies, where do we stand on that one?
I haven't either. The policy that I was going forward wasn't the right attachment, so I didn't forward it, follow it. So I'm remiss in that area. I had my hands on one of the policies, so we need to look back up.
Sort of along that line, it's not really exactly that, but for y'all's information and you may know about it, the post office has caused a great catastrophe. The bill's not being mailed and delivered timely, which because of that, the cutoff times and following up, if we follow them, gonna cut off somebody who is a good payer and whatever, because they never got their bills. Linda, share your conversation with the board.
It's just kind of funny that I,
Were there bills that have never been received?
yes,
There are lost bills.
yes.
And then delivery time's been longer than we were used to.
Oh, they were mailed on December the 18th and people still have not received them.
We got ours the 15th, bills due the 18th. My wife has a mental clock when it didn't show up, when it usually does. She said,
And I think-
where's part of it? You know?
Yeah.
And
So-
that's how it should be. And it says on our bill, it doesn't matter if you receive this or not, you still owe it. You know, the bill. You
Yeah.
don't have to actually. But we try to be nicer than that. So we had, Blair put it out, I'm pretty sure on Facebook, whatever, we had so many phone calls, which was great. You know, and people coming in, dropping it in the box, it's wonderful. But yes, so today I asked him, he was sitting over there and had his coat on, so I just said, do we have everything worked out? And that's because I work at City Hall, and he just said that, no, he still had some of the water bills. And he said, we need to mail our water bills the 1st of December. Because December, they have about 10 times the mail they normally have. Well, okay, it's Christmas, you know, I know, December, Christmas comes and I just told him, I said, we cannot do that. I said, we read our meters, we send our bills per ordinance. We cannot adjust that. We can't do that. So that's just kind of where that went.
Now, when we have a bill that's unpaid, what's our procedure on cutoff notification?
They're gonna have to really look at it closely this time. And, I mean, everyone, they'll get a call, you know, we do the courtesy call. That's not per
And the courtesy
ordinance,
call
we try to do
is-
the one call thing.
The one call thing, and that
Mhm.
we've had a case that's not in the mayor on that. And that's why we query the public to make sure we have an up-to-date telephone number, which is not, I mean, a lot of people don't realize that.
Right,
The cell phones, I don't want my phone ringing off the hook with unknown numbers and people kind of get, but we don't have, if you don't provide that number, then we can't load you into one call.
which we could have a water main break. I mean, it doesn't have to be that you're getting a call because your bill's late. It could be something very important.
So you'll get a generic call. I've never gotten one, and the only reason I haven't gotten one is I've done an automatic withdrawal for years from the checking account just to wash my hands of this one. But the call says basically what?
I haven't listened to it. I'm sorry, but
It says you're getting this call because
Mhm.
you have not paid your water bill,
Right.
and it
You
tells you
have
what the
not-
cutoff date is. So it's recorded, it's done, and this goes out batch wise. A lot of our customers are small town Calvert City folks who we all know and love. And they still think we have individuals is like, and I'm not gonna mention names. I had one, a dear friend, and he's like, well, you see me every day. Why didn't somebody say something about this? And I had explained to him that those days are gone and this is a batch deal and we don't have that system working the way that he was used to. And it's hard to make that
you
adjustment.
know, and we have 1,600 customers. We that's.
So when
kinda
is,
hard.
when is cutoff day?
I don't know what it is this month. It's always the last week of the month. Mhm.
So we got a lot of extra work to do to chase all those down, which are outside of our normal procedure, because we understand December was an anomaly.
That's right.
Is that right? Is that what we're gonna do?
That is correct.
Well, I'm concerned. I mean, is it gonna be an annual or not?
It better not be.
I mean,
all the
I was
time.
not encouraging what the postmaster told you. You may need to.
No, and he told me, he said, I told him, I said, I live on Greekstown Road and I have a Calvert address, and I said, I didn't even get any mail for 2 days. And then my box was full. And he said they did not even get any trucks from Evansville or Nashville where they get mail from, because it has to go through both those, either one of those places. So he said, we had no mail to deliver. And I said, do you have staff to deliver it? He said, yes. He said, now you may get your mail delivered at 8 o'clock at night. And I said, I've noticed that. So I check it late in the afternoon and then it's there early in the
I
morning.
don't think that's gonna change.
Is that not,
No,
it's awful.
no, it's a mess unless they privatize it or
Yeah,
something. We
and
just went under.
they're struggling also, just with trying to,
That's a pretty basic necessity of the function.
It is, I know, but it is so far spread. I mean, you've talked to anybody.
they are.
One of the things is, you don't get your statements in a timely manner. And, I paid a house insurance payment, it's quite significant. And, I paid that thing 14 days. So it hit the day before it was actually due. And then, 14 days, it went from, when I saw Chicago on there, that gave me pause, but we dealt with the rebuilding the church and we dealt with some $100,000 checks and mail messes up. And it's bad.
Yeah, there was a check I'd mailed to one of our engineers and I needed where he had cashed that to send in to get our reimbursement with the trail, and he was like, we hadn't received that check. And I was like, that's great. I'm like, will you please watch for it? So they finally got it this week. It's probably been about 3 weeks.
I'm not gonna pretend another business,
Oh.
but it does drive me nuts to understand that 42029 has to go out somewhere else for 42029 delivery. And I don't understand
I know.
the technology that goes into that, but I guess they order the routes and
Yep.
send them back, ordered routes. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But to send it from here to Paducah, Evansville and from Evansville to Paducah.
Yeah,
back to here, and then-
We traced one, it was in Memphis is where it disappeared. But all the way down in Memphis,
So, I
But
mean,
anyway, it's been an issue with our water bills for sure. This
so
last
what's
month.
gonna happen this month? I mean, we're just gonna do some extra due diligence on cutoff day and make individual phone calls.
For sure. They will look through it.
So what percent?
I
are
will
we
probably
talking?
even look through it. I don't know
Talking 50 or 60 people or,
that did not get their bill.
no, that's not paid.
Oh, I don't know. I would have to, I would think she hasn't run the cutoff list yet, so I wouldn't know.
We're still, what, how many days
Yeah.
on cutoff list?
Have y'all read meters? Or are you reading? You've read them. Okay, so they'll probably send bills out next,
So
first of
when
next.
is cutoff day?
They change it, so I don't know. Usually it's around, no, it's the 25th normally.
Okay, so that's.
Or
on
somewhere
Saturday.
around there.
It's on Saturday, so it'd be somewhere, whatever.
So we still got probably another 5 or 6 days before cutoff list is compiled. And so what I'm concerned about is somebody mails us a check. And they're gonna get caught up in the same thing. Hopefully,
Yeah,
hopefully the
you're right.
logjam will be cleared for January by then. It's gonna come
Well,
on through.
It got so bad, we drive our electric bill to Benton every month and just deposit it there because we got a card where we were late on our payment.
I just put mine on automatic
And
withdrawal
yeah,
last month.
we
I
can do
thought,
it,
I'm
but
not
we're
doing
dealing
this.
with 4 meters. And so we just drive it up there, but you can pay it online, but then the electric company wants to charge you $2.
I know, I did that.
And it's not the $2, it's just the principal. They're trying to force you to pay it online, but they want to charge you. And it's because customer service is a lost definition. You couldn't even find it as a definition anymore.
Is that a credit card or an ACH?
Huh?
Is that a credit card or on ACH?
What's ACA?
Automatic withdrawal.
Okay,
And I
no,
just
it's
set mine
a,
up
you
for
can
that
probably
last.
set it up that way, but,
Yeah.
you know, I guess you.
And
could,
there is no charge on that.
uh,
There's
there is
not,
at the-
there's not a service charge. on
From
that
us,
either.
right, from us. So if somebody pays it online from us, we don't charge extra for
No,
it.
online you would get the credit card company charges. That's who
Okay,
charges,
okay.
not us.
But if you pay an automatic check withdrawal,
Right.
it's not a charge.
Correct.
Okay,
If
okay.
we send it directly to the bank, there is no charge.
Okay.
The generational issue, you know, there's people our age do not want to do automatic withdrawals.
Mhm.
I have given.
Listen, it's
I've
civil war in
given you-
my house like that way.
I have
We
given
do
you-
some and we ought to do all, but. So,
One thing that might give a little relief to them is, I noticed, at least in my neighborhood, the actual Amazon vehicles were delivering this year. And,
Okay.
you know, instead of just forever.
Just the mail
It
having
was,
to do
yeah.
it. They're overwhelmed.
So I don't, yeah, that may take some of the load off the postal service. But we had people delivering during Christmas in personal vehicles.
Mm.
And they would have on an Amazon shirt or something. It's kind of.
Actual mail?
No, just.
Amazon
package.
package.
Oh, yeah.
But it was.
In the past, Amazon would do a drop at the post office
Sometimes
service,
it's
and the
sketchy.
postal service.
It does all
brings it.
exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that too. UPS takes all
Mhm.
their stuff to the post office. Be delivered.
But on a positive note, you know, our new software, Edmunds, we have had 2 calls with them already, so they're starting with everything. I know it's gonna take a year, but the software has the capability of, if you don't want to get a paper bill, I mean, we can email you your bill. I'm sure we can probably text you your bill. We can do all sorts of things. So hopefully we're gonna eliminate some of these problems. And we will not be sending cards out anymore with this system. It will be a full page letter type, which, you know, those cards are easy to get lost anyway. So
you know, you can,
I'm hoping all of that added together will
it
help.
will not be good PR, but you can say 2026, there'll be no more paper bills, there'll be no more checks accepted. But you know, now some people don't necessarily have a traditional checking account.
That's right.
And I don't know if they own houses or pay water bills, rent and pay water bills. But, you know, but otherwise, you know, Donna Perry, I remember in 2000 when she said, I will no longer give you a written note. It will be in your email. And oh my God, we have to look at the email. 3 years later, I remember one day the email was out. Oh my God, where's the email? So, you know, people can do it. And they can do it in Calvert City, and we can kind of force this if we want to. It probably will not go over well with
I think we'll
Keith
have,
and my friends
no,
and Craig's friends.
I think we'll have a lot that will go that route.
But, and they incentivize it. Say, first month, we'll give you 10% discount if you'll do this or something.
Well, we may, I don't know.
Give you some more paperwork.
You
So
know,
look-
Thank
a lot
you.
of comments, to the mayor. As a council member, I had very little exposure to utilities. And, you know, we operate a utility district. And sometimes the good folks of our community say, well, why are these policies like this? Is because we supply water to everyone. And we're the sole provider for everyone. Everyone needs water. I don't care what, if you're carrying on life and you don't have a well out back, you gotta have water.
You gotta
So
have
we gotta
water.
deal with everybody, and people have different means, and I think Steve's a big proponent of this. I mean, we got all sorts of folks that we've got to take care of. And so our policies have to be very broad. And if you ever went in and said, hey, we don't take cash, or hey, we don't take a paper check, that's not gonna be acceptable.
No.
And I think as you're right on it, if you want a certain kind of interaction, you can maybe incentivize it, and even that gets a little sketch, because, you know, some people have these resources, they're gonna get a break versus somebody has to do it another way. I'm not personally in favor of that.
Okay.
So I mean, it just has to be broad, and things are gonna be different. I mean, I'm sure things are different now than when this contract I still have on computers like 20 years ago. I mean, it's just different, and we're gonna continue to evolve.
Well,
you
but
know, the most
I
basic
think-
need on
We'll
is
try to take
water.
care of everyone.
I think that we're gonna be like the last ones to be able to move from some of these older methods.
Well, but I'm just saying, if the post office breaks down
Mhm.
and, hopefully they'll go private. But with the period in between, you're gonna have to,
This office still deals in
Yeah.
cash. The city's office still has cash
right,
come through, as surprising as that sounds. And then
Really?
we have comments, why can we not take a credit card payment for something? And so we're, with the Edmonds expansion, we're gonna expand into
doing
that
that.
territory. So we're gonna try to go that way. So but we still have bags of cash and drawers that have to zero out.
I don't know if you've seen it.
Great, though, being able to take credit and debit cards at the desk, plus people can call on the phone and pay their bill, they can get online and pay their bill, and it's been good. And, and a lot of people pay by phone and,
By attrition,
Online.
this may work itself out.
So this is my ignorance. What do we do for a convenience fee on our credit card payments or anything? What does Calvert City Utilities do? What is our policy on paying with a debit card or credit card?
there is a fee. I think it's $2.95. I'm not sure. Anyway, the credit card company charges that and they keep that. That's their fee. We do not ever see that or touch it.
So the fee goes to the people who are processing the
That is
transaction,
correct. That's how they get paid.
not to the utility in our
And there
case.
has to be so many transactions or they will charge us something, but we have enough every month. We do not
Why you
get
get
charged.
stock in Bank of America. City card.
You want an eye-opening experience, why don't you pick 2 months and deal cash? Try that for a minute. Go make everything cash.
Yep, then you gotta have somebody carry.
Well, if you
Count
go to Poppy's, you get a
balances.
5% discount if you pay in cash, so.
My last visit to Poppy's, I just managed to pay in cash. I really
I
did.
did too. Cause I was feeding
Well,
poor
Lost Trace
people.
does it also.
What?
Lost
Lost
Trace
Trace
had
and
it
Eagles.
to the bill.
Gives you a discount if you pay
Who
cash.
is? Jason.
Actually, they add the credit card fee on the bottom of it. They take the credit card fee off, that's your discount.
That was down.
Bump those for
They do.
So it's not a discount. They just, okay,
No,
gotcha. I'm
they
with
just
you.
don't have to pay the credit card fee
Okay.
when you pay for cash.
Yeah, I did that at Poppy's. Sometime I think.
But anyway, we are working, trying to take care of everything.
It's just an anomaly. But. gonna be
I
an
wonder-
issue
I
next
don't know, the
December.
ladies have really been, they're really trying to figure out options.
Okay,
You know, if you go in the post office and you have a card, to get web card or something you want delivered, you can tell them, ask them to deliver it in Calvert, and they will.
Oh, really?
I found that out recently.
you don't have to have it go through Evansville or Memphis or.
Right, you just walk up and hand it to the lady and say,
No, they
"Would you
didn't
please
used to do
deliver
that,
this
no.
locally?" And they say, "Yes, we will." So I wondered if you carried in all the water bills. and said,
And
"Would you
these
please
are
deliver
local."
this locally.
Just saying, but they're not all local. You know, sometimes people's bills
Rental.
go other places.
Tenant, yeah.
Well, that might take care of 75% of it.
Yeah, I didn't know you could do that.
You know,
You can.
it'd be better than having those phone calls.
Yeah.
I didn't think so either, but,
There used to be the 2 boxes.
I'm about to, cause I'm gonna say that.
right, and that all got eliminated.
Used to have a
Local
local,
out
but they eliminated that, but I did find out the other day, and I don't remember who told me that, but
I remember those days when that box
Yeah.
disappeared,
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when this.
walked up, and then when I did questions, I thought they just basically let everything float. And because the technology changed how they stack the routes.
Yeah, but I did that. I've done it 2 or 3 times, just walk in and, somebody, I wanna get well card, sick at church and wanted to get it to them or something.
Mhm.
Say, would you deliver this local? Now, I don't know how much.
How local is it? Maybe you go or knock on the door and hand it to them. How local is it? Maybe you just go hand
Don't touch.
Personal touch, I don't know.
The youth groups, all the churches used to, let put up the boxes and take your building, 50 cents.
Yeah.
For the Christmas.
Still have to put a stamp on it. but- All right, Bobby, you got anything? Okay. New people working out all right?
Yeah.
Everything?
They're turning out pretty good so far.
All right.
Okay. But we talked about the lost water bill issues. Bill, you got anything?
Just looking at notes from last month, we had mentioned the gaming and that River Crest Engineering has reviewed preliminary concepts. We have any updates on Marshall Gaming or anything?
Well, you know what, we do. We've got here than I suppose.
In a minute or less.
I'm trying to think if I can get it down to a minute or less. There's activities.
As it affects us, if
There-
it's
there-
beyond us, don't worry.
The Marshall Yards bunch are working with Rivercrest and Bobby and us, and they are improving a singular lift station that we used to call Foxfire.
Okay.
And that is to take care of Marshall Yards and anticipated growth. And that lift station pumps to Little, or not Little, but to Cypress Lakes lift station.
Okay,
Okay. So other things that might happen. So it kind of has that one quadrant of that intersection taken care of. So we're looking at that quadrant taking care of that. There's other potentials as we're well aware of to bring some more wastewater our way to increase our volumes. And then, you know, development stuff is springing up other places. So we're starting to look at, okay, so what would be the next pieces of the puzzle? We've
Yeah.
got Cracker Barrel on one side. And then stuff on down the corridor of Highway 62 from the dam, even Kentucky Dam Village. So Marshall's is pretty clear cut. Marshall Yard, lift station improvement, engineering commitment to improve that, that's fine. Where growth is gonna get us next will be Cypress Lakes lift station. And the ability to get out of that lift station and get into our waste treatment. So the next piece is where we start having to look at that. And so already putting together some flow scenarios.
Good.
And looking at even making sure we've got the water supply infrastructure
right.
to get enough supply going on. And we don't want to get into a lot of economic development talks, which would be pure speculation in here, but you know, there is activity, there's land under contract, that's not been under contract previously. So there's some stuff happening here. And what'll be built, what'll not be built. So we're trying to get ahead of that. Rivercrest has got some good
Capacity.
things. Looking at things about how much water goes down Lone Valley Road. How much possibly, you know, then you start putting out some scenarios, how much wastewater could be generated. And that over there from the Forge Crossing place, that would impact the Cracker Barrel, what we call the Cracker Barrel lift station.
Mhm.
And then when if you put that on top of going to Cypress Lakes, that's when you got to start moving your infrastructure build. through
Yes.
that. So that's kind of where we're at.
Well, and then.
I don't know how fast it's gonna move. Marshall Yards, I think are getting closer to announcing their timetable.
Okay,
I think that, you know,
I heard it's gonna be pretty aggressive.
well, they haven't made the announcement. I saw just an email that could be just hearsay and it looked aggressive from that email. I expect them to make a press release at some point and then we'll get a better vision of
right.
how quickly it ought to go.
Other thing is the Kentucky Dam project. Did we ever get any final peak flow numbers?
Still waiting on
those
flow,
numbers right now.
waiting on flow numbers from them.
Okay,
That's
so
what
that also affects all we're
Yeah.
talking about right
Yeah,
here.
that's
too.
yes, that's what we got.
it does not impact the design for the Marshall Yard improvement.
Right.
The flow of that stream would not go through that channel, so it doesn't impact that tentacle. So
Okay.
whatever we're doing, Marshall just covers that tag truck center and that property's up there. It does not impact what's coming or not coming from any of those other two.
Okay,
So it's green light. There's a pretty good definition on that and they can move forward without waiting on something from us.
okay.
And even if somebody got rid of Gene's favorite Kentucky Fried Chicken and put something else in there,
What?
we wouldn't have to do anything sewer
Really
wise
use
or water.
leathers for that. Could you resurrect that KFC?
Greg's over here saying, please don't get on the KFC diet. Don't do it.
We don't have time for that.
We don't have time for
But you
this.
know, that's not the original
You said to
KFC.
keep it to minutes, so my lips are set.
You know, that's not the original KFC.
I know that.
There was one where the sportsman over there was back in the
I
day.
can't say I've ever purchased them there. I have been in the car in the parking lot there.
It was
Waiting
open
chicken.
in the
So were
sixties.
Not,
Yeah, well, if you look at it,
look at the
you can
building.
see the design. You can,
Oh,
it's faded, but it's got the old white and red.
I'll take a look at that one.
Thank you,
To
Dan.
the left of it.
I'm done.
Michael, you got anything, sir?
The only thing I just found interesting that I was looking for other reasons, but I just happened to come across where one of our neighbor utilities, what they charge for the hauled waste that we were talking about last week. Or last month. I just found it was kind of interesting that they have a fee structure for hauled waste that is generated inside the utilities boundaries. And then that fee is doubled if that waste was generated outside the fees, the utilities boundaries. It was just interesting. It was monetary wise, I think that they were charging $48 1,000, I believe is what they were charging. And then if it were, which that is actually probably a little less than us if we're charging 7 cents a gallon. So, but they also charged a $300 flat rate fee to customers who do that. There was a yearly $300 fee. And then if they hauled from outside the utilities boundary, then that per 1,000 fee was apparently doubled. But anyway,
That's interesting.
yeah.
I'd be
That is
interested
it.
in learning more about that if you get a chance.
I can send it to you.
Yeah, it is.
And I was trying to research that. That's when I was looking in chapter 50, because I was digging through some ordinances. And I told Bobby, I said, this one, I think it was 2005, and I found the hauled waste fees and it was 4 cents. And then I found later it was increased, I guess, to 5 cents, and then I think it's just been that, and then just been increased on the CPI cents. So that's how we got to 7.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you for that. Steve?
A few years ago, we talked about Cracker Barrel and where our meter was at, and that line was under a parking lot. Y'all remember that discussion? We were gonna try to move that meter. I don't think we ever did anything with that, but just as a heads up, man, when all this comes up, don't put lines under parking lots. You know, what we got into it, Dairy Queen or McDonald's, actually, it was McDonald's. So I don't think we ever did anything out there, but they had an excessively long line from the main to the meter at Cracker Barrel. Y'all remember that?
I do remember that. I was
That
thinking
was-
they actually did it, but I guess.
I don't know. I asked him if we'd ever done anything about it when he was still, yeah.
I remember that.
So what we wanted to do was get that meter back in a reasonable distance from the main. So that we weren't open to damages should we have to dig that line up. And that was all came through the McDonald's.
And that was a result of, as I recall, of Cracker Barrel wanting that meter
Yeah.
there closer to their facility.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I do remember that.
I think it's just a learning
point.
experience for us, you know. That's it.
So, as roads move around, as transportation cabinet changes some routing of roads and you got private roads that we're trying to get things done on that later build up and be public. So we're talking about some of that at the city level right now.
Mhm.
Some of that work down in front of 62 down in front of the auto parts store and the 2 adjacent businesses there, that's necessitated just because the way the roadways have changed.
Yeah,
And we got to keep it out where we can get a hold of it and not get into that kind of mess.
right.
Yeah, good point.
Yep.
We had something like that come up with the recent addition to 5 Star. We got that all taken care of pretty good, didn't we, Greg? Water line access through the 5 Star.
Yeah,
That's that's grunt work.
Mhm.
That takes a little bit.
Are you
By
taking care of our empty seat over here for us?
Yes, working on that.
Okay. Good. Greg, good to see you. Got anything for us?
Nice to see you too. I don't think so.
Okay. Need a motion, Steve?
All right, I make a motion to adjourn.
Need a second?
Go ahead, Bill.
Michael,
I will second.
Bill's gonna second. Okay, all right. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, by like sign. Thank you, guys.